Hi, good evening, everybody. This is Jeffrey DeRose. I'm the director at the College of Staten Island Tech Incubator. And thank you for joining us this evening to have this discussion around paid advertising with Kimberly Cortes. Kim is the director at Hearst Magazine for paid advertising. And Kim, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so like Jeff mentioned, I just realized my name says Kimberly. You can call me Kim. No one ever calls me Kimberly. It's so formal. But yeah, I'm from a Brooklyn native, but I lived in Staten Island for a few. I am working at Hearst Magazines for about a little over 5 years doing paid media. My team is part of the digital acquisition, which is kind of like a fancy way of saying people who were in charge of like getting people to make purchases for magazine subscriptions. So if you're not familiar with Hearst Magazines, you're probably familiar with the brands that we sell. So Cosmo Magazine, Oprah, Esquire, that's just a couple of the few top ones that we do. So primarily working on selling subscriptions to the magazines.
Yes, no, thank you so much for that, Kim. And we're gonna have a presentation today, but maybe we'll just give the crowd a little background on yourself. So it seems, can you just maybe tell us a bit about your marketing background, how you got started, how you got into the field, etc.?
Yeah, so I went to CSI and I got my degree in digital marketing or communications with a focus in digital media. And I honestly didn't know if I wanted to do marketing when I first started. I started off as a coder, and from there, I started working in companies that did coding and did marketing. And so I started digging a little bit into marketing, and I found that there were so many facets of marketing. It's so broad, and I kind of started escalating, started with email marketing, and then I started moving more into, coordinating production. And eventually I did paid media marketing, which was the most recent one that I'm in now for 5 years. It's actually really fun. It's more than just Facebook and Instagram. There's so much to it, and it's so helpful. I think it's a really great tool that people are starting to dig into it. And then I'm starting to dive in a little bit into influencer marketing, which is a growing marketing avenue. So there's just so much in marketing that I have been learning in 5 or 10 plus years of marketing, honestly. But yeah, that's kind of pretty much where my journey went. You're on mute, Jeff.
Yeah, I said, no, that's amazing. It sounds like you're a seasoned veteran when it comes to the marketing. And, we're very lucky to have you, right? We don't, it's not every day you get to have somebody of your caliber and your experience come and teach, our network of people about, marketing and paid advertising and things like that. So with that being said, I maybe just like to let you get started with your presentation. And for everyone else in the room, if you do have any questions, please just drop them in the chat. We will answer the questions towards the end. So with that being said, Kim, you have the floor.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and drive now. So let me start by sharing my screen. All right. There's so many things here. There it is. Okay. All right. Well, first, I want to thank everybody for joining here. And just in advance, I want to apologize if there's so many things here that I tried to talk about, but I'm sure there's going to be things that I missed. So definitely, if you have any questions during any portion, please drop them in the chat box. There's so much that we're trying to consolidate in this amount of time. So I'm sure there'll be something that will pop up. All right, so starting off with the agenda, I just kind of wanted to break through and create a structure of what was helpful for everybody, just to kind of break down what paid media really is. And so the first portion of the presentation is going to focus on paid social, and that's primarily Facebook and Instagram. Of course, paid social goes on to more channels than just Facebook and Instagram. There's more than just the metaverse. So you'll, Twitter, Reddit, Snapchat, you can do pretty much advertising on pretty much all social media channels. But the biggest ones right now are Facebook and Instagram, and they're also the most easiest and most intuitive channels to make any of your advertising. So I'll focus on those. And then paid search, again, similar to paid social, there's a lot to know about. There's different engines that are out there aside from just Google, but Google's pretty much the biggest player in this space. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, I do provide free resources and paid resources to develop in your path as you're starting your business, or maybe you're a little bit more seasoned and you want to get certifications for specific areas in marketing if you're interested in it. So free resources and paid resources will be linkable at the end of the presentation. So I'll go ahead and get started. All right, so since we're jumping in straight into Facebook and Instagram, the first slide is really just kind of talking about pixels. And what this really means, once I share the presentation, you'll be able to link to it. It's a line of code that goes on the website where you're selling your product. And it's basically a way of communication between the platforms like Facebook and Instagram to communicate with your website, to know when someone took an action. So if you have an ad that is directing people to go to www.mywebsite.com and you want people to sign up to your newsletter, there's going to be a little line of code, or what we call pixel, that's going to fire, or in other words, send a message to Facebook and say, hey, this person signed up from this ad that they saw on Instagram, or this ad that they saw on Facebook. And it's useful to have a pixel because it helps the system, Facebook and Instagram, with the algorithm. And the algorithm is really just basically, if you watched Social Dilemma on Netflix, it's just a way for the platform to learn the behaviors of the consumer and like what they're doing on the sites, what they're doing when they're looking at the ad after they click. So it's very important for that communication to happen. So if you click on that link afterwards, it'll drive you on how to set up a pixel and basically why it's useful and important for the platform. And if you have GA data, so if you have Google Analytics, you're pretty familiar already with how like the information is going to be flowing, but it's still essential to have that information go to the platforms. So the assumption is that we're setting this up, we already have this set up on the site, and we're just going to go straight into paid marketing. So I created this concept, or this structure. It's kind of like an illustration to walk through just like the different phases when you're thinking about paid marketing or marketing in general. This could be something that you're paying. So when I say paid marketing, I'm talking about advertising. And when I say organic, I'm talking about something that's free. So like if you post on your social media account, on your business's social account, and it's no money had to be backed up for that, that's organic. So any sort of marketing where you're putting your business out there and you're trying to sell your product, that this is a very helpful and useful tool. The 4 phases that I've created here starts off with the phase 1, which is the discovery phase. This is where you're either in your early stages of your business or your early stages of creating a Facebook campaign. You're trying to define what your goal is. You're trying to define what your KPIs is. So your KPIs is an acronym for key performance indicators. And what that essentially means is like you're trying to define how are you going to measure your success? What are the metrics that you're looking at to say, hey, I'm hitting my goal and it's looking successful, or this isn't working, I'm being unsuccessful in my targeting. So by discovering and setting up those goals, you're setting the stage up for the rest of the phases. You want to make sure you're as structured as possible. And starting here is important because you want to make sure that you're setting, a goal that's realistic, a goal that you can look at, a goal that you can measure, and something that's attainable. So after you go into that phase, you're going to jump into your second, which is your creative and your content. Now, this is the place where you're creating your ad, you're designing, or maybe you're using Canva to set up some sort of ad creative, and then you're putting together copy of like how you want to, promote your product. So if you don't have a goal set or a KPI of like how that success is going to look, your creative and your content are not going to be consistent. You're going to, say your goal was to get people to sign up for your newsletter, but your creative says a different story. They don't correlate, they're not consistent. And so the structure is not going to be there. And so that's why this is helpful, so that you know your dependencies. All right, in order for me to get to phase 2, I need to make sure I have my goals. And then to move down here on the pipeline, on phase 3 is your campaign setup. So campaign is just kind of like a structure of how things are going to be outlined in Facebook. who am I going to target? What are my ads going to look like? How much money am I going to invest? That's just kind of what campaign is, and Facebook uses that terminology. So here's where you set up all those things in terms of like your budget, how much how many people you want to reach, what type of ad creative you're looking. And then your final phase is phase 4. And this is also very important. It's your analysis phase. It's where you become kind of like an analyst. You look at the data that you have gathered from all, the campaigns that you have launched, and it helps you determine, okay, am I doing this right? What is this telling me? Are my consumers or the customers that are coming to try and get my business or my product, are they getting all the information that they need to get? Do I need to do something differently here? How can I make changes? How can I make improvements? And so it's important to understand how to read your data. And I'll talk a little bit more about that so that you can set yourself up for optimizations, or what we like to call like updates or improvements on your product or your business. All right. And then moving on, I've created, just for the purpose of this presentation, a fake company. It helps illustrate, once we go through the steps, what the steps look like. So instead of randomly picking somebody to talk to me about their business, I'll just go ahead and pretend like I have a business. And this one's called Kim Skincare Corner. So it's random. This is a fake logo and fake image that I've scoured through the site to find. So my business is Kim Skincare Corner. My vision or my mission statement is I have a passion for a clean, healthy environment. So I am creating skincare products that are clean. So essentially things that are going to help the environment, chemical-free, paraben-free. So I sell, facial soaps, facial oils, moisturizers. And my mission is to produce clean, toxin-free, plant-based products for the eco-conscious consumer. And I specifically have the people that live in the United States because I don't ship outside of the US. So I'm trying to give you as much explanation about my business, because as we go down the line, you'll see why this information is essential. So moving on to after my business. Now, all right, I've set up my business. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to sell. But now I need to understand what my goals are and what my KPIs are, my key performance indicators. So if you're familiar, you've probably seen this acronym called SMART, and people use it around the world, not just for business goals. They also use it for career goals, or in general, like personal goals. It's a really cool acronym that helps you determine what your goals are going to look like and what success would look like for your company, your business, or just your personal life in general. So as you can see, the acronym here spells out SMART, so it's called SMART. Each section here tells you specifically like what each letter means. So starting from the top, the S stands for specific. So here's like, what is your goal? Like, what can you like define it? Is it clearly illustrated? Are you, is it a realistic goal? Then the next one is measurable. So how will you measure success with this goal, right? So you start off with a goal, an idea, and then you go down the line and you're saying, okay, can I measure success with this? If my goal is to, get 100 signups, how can I measure signups? Oh, okay, well, it's email signups and people who go on my site and sign up for my newsletter. Or maybe your goal, you sell products, and my goal is to get money, to get product purchases. So how can I measure product purchases? Well, I look at how much money I'm making after someone has purchased the product, and I look at my revenue at the end of the month. And then you go down to like attainable. Is this goal something that's realistic? Is this something that I can attain? Like, I can't say like, I want to, get, 100 million email newsletter signups on day one. If that's your goal, it might not be realistic for you, and it might not be attainable. So then you're going to set yourself up to fail, or disappointment or discouragement, because your goal was too unrealistic. But you also don't want to undercut yourself, right? And setting something up where it's like, well, I just want to get 10 signups, and then you stop there. Goals should always be evolving and changing based on your performance of your company and your business. Like, how are you doing? How are things working? Let's change up this goal. Let's make it better. And so the next two are relevancy Does this goal make sense with what you're doing? Am I getting email newsletters? Am I going to make money out of email signups? Product sales, that's what I do, right? I sell something. And then time bound. So that's why, going back of this idea of like your goal should be evolving, you should set up something that's like time based, right? So your goal is like, well, how long is it going to take me to reach that goal? What's my, roadmap going forward? Like after I reach that goal, what am I going to do? Where's my second goal going to be? Is it going to be 1 year now? Am I looking at 3 months? Am I looking at like my 10-year goal? So you're evolving and it's changing. To give you here an example of what a company like Kim's Skincare Corner would look like setting up goals and KPIs using SMART, I have this little illustration at the bottom. So you'll see that I brought back my mission statement. I want to provide consumers with alternative skincare products to help reduce waste in the environment, right? So I pretty much care about the environment. I want to show people that like this is important for the environment, but I need to make money, right? Like I can't just care for the environment and have a business and then I'm like, how am I going to generate money? How am I going to generate an income out of this? So that's where I start setting up my goals. So the next bullet point is drive awareness for the environment. So that's my goal. I want to make sure that people in the environment, people understand the environment and the effects of skincare and like how I can be more eco-conscious. But I also want to grow my business. So the way that I grow it is with product sales. So now that I've outlined, okay, well, I care about the environment. That's important for me, but I also want to make sure that I sell. Now I'm going to start moving down the line. How am I going to measure? Is this attainable? How is it relevant? What's my time? So in order for me to be profitable, and profitable for me would mean if I put some money down, invest some money, and then I make more than the money I invested, that would be a profit for me. In order for me to do that, I need to generate $6,000 in revenue, or more than $6,000 in revenue. Otherwise, I'll just break even. So what break even essentially means is if you take an analogy of like gambling, and I go to the I'm gambling, I sit at a table and I bet $6,000 and I win $6,000, I broke even. The $6,000 that I invested is the same $6,000 that I'm getting back. It's not really a gain. Yes, I won, but I committed to hours. I put in a lot of effort and I only got back with whatever I put in. So if I'm only investing $6,000 and I'm only getting $6,000 at the end of my month, I really didn't make any money. So I'm just kind of working just to, work. So I understand, okay, well, I need to make more than this. My goal now, and this is the third bullet, now refined with all the points that I need to, is to generate $10,000 in revenue. So that means that enough purchases on my site that will generate $10,000. And then that means that out of those $10,000, 6,000 of that is going to go to product costs because that's how much it costs to break even. That's how much I invested. $6,000 product costs, fulfillment, warehouse, website, all that stuff. And then the remaining, which is the 4,000, that's going to be my profit. That's going to be the money that I make. And so in this scenario, my goal is, well, from the month that I launch online and I go out and promote it and I do an ad, I want to make $4,000 a profit. So that means that I'm going to invest 6,000 and I'm going to get 10,000 back, 6,000 to pay and 4,000 extra on my pocket. So this is my goal now. I've established it. So what's next? Now I understand that, okay, well, I need to make this money, but like, who is going to buy this for me? Who is going to be the consumer or the customer? And so that's what we in the marketing industry have, we call the marketing funnel. And it's important to understand this. As a business owner, as somebody who works for a company, it's important to understand the marketing funnel because this is basically the customer's journey. You don't think about it when you're a customer, but if we were to see an ad anywhere, or we were to walk down the street in a store and you see something, there's actual steps that are going on in your head that are so fast or maybe very slow that you don't notice them. But that's a journey. You're taking a journey before you make that purchase, before you make that commitment to pay for something or to commit to do something. So the marketing funnel, by definition, means the customer's journey. It's a structure that has steps and different stages to learn about, like, okay, what is the route that this person is taking as they get to, each step? Like, what is each step called? And then finally, what's the final step? That's kind of what the marketing funnel is. The top funnel, which you can see is the widest part, that's where the most amount of people will come in. Everybody will come in there. And as you start going down the funnel, you'll see that that funnel now gets narrower, because now less people are going there. And this is kind of what happens with, you as a customer. When you see an ad, you'll see an ad and for a company, and you'll say, oh, wow, okay, this is cool. I don't know what this is, but it's interesting. And so now you're aware of that company, but you'll probably leave and you'll say, okay, well, that's not relevant. I don't care about that. Or no, I'm not interested in this right now. So that weeds out a lot of the people that, don't apply to that product, or that are not interested, or not the target audience. And then as you, go through the steps of the journey, if you stick around, you'll start to see, like, okay, wait, I'm considering this. This might be something that I want to invest in. Or you'll end up at the conversion stage, where you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to commit. I'm going to buy because I really like this product and I'm really interested. So understanding the marketing funnel and understanding the customer journey, which is the stages of, where the customer goes before they make the commitment to a purchase or to sign up to a newsletter. When you understand that, it's going to help you create a really great marketing strategy for your business, because at what point you're seeing failures, at what point you're seeing success. Maybe you're seeing a lot of people come in your awareness stage, but they're leaving and you're barely getting people to buy. And so then you have to think to yourself, what am I doing here that's making people like my product, but not like it enough to buy it? And then that's when you start making changes and shifting your strategy. So it's important. So to illustrate exactly how that journey looks, I've created this marketing funnel for my brand, Kim Skincare Corner. So my fake company, again, just to recap, it sells clean skincare products, right? So what does a customer look like in each of these phases, in each of these stages? So in the awareness stage, the person that is a customer that saw the ad on Facebook or Instagram and is saying to themselves, what is this clean skincare product? Who is Kim Skincare Corner? Like, why am I getting this ad on my feed? Oh, I see. Okay, well, the ad says that, Kim Skincare Corner sells environmental friendly products. Okay, if this is relevant for you, then you'll go on to the next stage, right? Because you'll consider it. If this isn't relevant, you'll leave and you'll say, I don't care about environmental friendly products. Goodbye. Like, I don't need that. But if this is relevant and you're actually in the market for clean skincare products, you're going to move on to the next stage, which is the consideration. Here's where, like, this is interesting. I want to find out more about it. Or what does pricing look like, right? Because you're interested now and you're thinking, well, maybe I can commit. And then here's like, let me just move this down here. Why would this benefit me? Like, why would I want to buy clean skincare? Why not just go with regular skincare? So you're now searching on my website. You clicked on my ad, you searched on my website. Now you're looking at my products. You're reading the description of the products. Maybe I have reviews. Maybe I have extra images and videos of people actually using the product, and you're interacting. So you're considering it and you're like, okay, maybe, should I buy this now? Should I buy this later? And as a consumer, sometimes we do that. You've ever been like on a site and you're like, oh, wow, this is great. But you know what? I'm not going to commit to it. I'm going to leave and come back. So you say that to yourself. And then you're like, if I get this ad again, then it's meant for it. If not, then I won't buy. So let's say you left and then you got the ad again. So now you're like, oh, wait, this is the same ad that I was thinking about. Okay, well, maybe let me click on the ad again. Now you're going to my website, but now your intent is to purchase because you liked it. You considered it and you thought about it and you got it again. And you said, yeah, let me do this. Let me commit to this. So in the conversion phase, that's when you're saying to yourself, I'm going to buy this right now. Or you're just flat out buying it. You made the purchase like, okay, I've committed. I've bought this. But your customer's journey doesn't end there. You want to increase brand loyalty. You want to have a relationship with your customer. So even though they made a purchase, maybe you have the type of product that, runs out, like mine, where after a month, you now need to get more skincare because it's something that, is going to run out. Or maybe you're consulting and you are continuing the consultation and you believe that that person or that company will need more consultation. Or maybe you sell a specific type of material that, after a while it's finished and you want to, fix it up or improve. And maybe you sell bracelets and you want to add more charms, more gems. So that now moves the customer to the second part of a different funnel. And this one starts off with retention. So retention really means keeping someone. It's important to have brand loyalty because once you get a customer, it's very likely that they will purchase again, especially if they're loyal to the brand or if they really enjoy the product. So if you are a customer, you made the purchase, now it's been a month, me as a consumer, as the business owner, I'm going to send an email and I'm going to say, hey, that product that you had a month ago, and now I'm sure it's finished, it's on sale right now. And then you're going to get that email and you're going to say, wow, I actually needed this product. I need to re-up. What a great deal. Or maybe you'll say, no, I still have this product. I'll wait for the next discount, for the next promotion. Or maybe I'll send you an email that says, hey, look, I launched new products. I don't just have facial oils and moisturizers. Now I have serums, and now I have toners, and now I have more, products that are gonna enhance your skincare routine. So I send you an email with the new launch, and you say, you know what, this makes sense. Maybe I should invest. Maybe I should go back and look at more products and see what it is. So now we've created a relationship with the customer. We have that relationship where now they'll come back, they'll purchase, they'll send recommendations, they'll tell their friends about it, and we'll keep that circle going on with the customer and that journey. And of course, there'll be drop off. There'll be customers who won't come back, but there'll always be that brand loyalty that you can remember. Oh yeah, I remember that skincare routine. That was really good. I don't really care about clean skin anymore, but it was really good for the environment if that's what you're into. And recommendations will flow like that. So that's pretty much the customer journey, understanding how it works. But we move on to understanding now the customer, right? Because we have a goal in our mind of what we need to sell, but we need to know who is going to be that person that is going to buy that, because not everybody cares about clean scare products, right? I probably, am not the target audience, even though that's my fake business. I personally wouldn't really buy that product. So when I think about, what is the best way for us to make the most out of our ads and how to be successful, we have to think about target audience. It's important, not just on ads, but in general, right? Like who is going to visit your website and who is going to make an action? Who is going to either sign up or pay for something or reach out or do any type of relationship with you? That is your target audience. So by definition, target audience is the group of people you want to reach with your marketing. They're the people that are most likely to take an action. They're the people that are determined, that like what you are selling, are interested in what you're offering. So it's very important for you to understand who your target audience is so that you can set up yourself for success, so that you can reach the right people and not spend hundreds of dollars on someone who would not even purchase something that you're selling, right? If you're selling a specific type of product for a specific type of segment or people, and you're advertising to, everybody else that doesn't fit there, you're wasting your ad dollars because those people are not going to make a conversion or AKA they're not going to make a purchase. So how does segmentation work? I apologize because I realized that the top portion is cutting this off, but all it says is target market segmentation. And you can, when the presentation is shared, you can kind of go through it. On Facebook, there's different ways. If you watch The Social Dilemma, you'll see that the companies like Facebook and Snapchat and Google, they have a lot of consumer data, right? anytime you make any type of behavior or any conversations that you have, or if you like things or like posts or talk about specific things, that's all data that gets saved in the platform. And platforms like that use it for advertisers. So they save all this data on you, and it helps the advertisers or people who invest to sell ads know, okay, well, what type of person is Joe? What type of person is Jane? And that's actually useful for us because we know, all right, well, this is the type of people that we should be targeting. So there's different buckets in target segmentation. The first one's geographical, right? So it's basically location, people based in a specific certain area. Then there's demographics. Perhaps you're targeting something that is 18 or over, or something that is catered to 60 plus. Gender, race-based, religion, education and income, or language spoken. Maybe this is specifically to one type of, maybe you want to do something for the Latinx community, and it's something that's in Spanish. And so you want to make sure that it's only Spanish speakers or people that speak Spanish. And so the next part is the psychological part of it, right? So this is more of like, all right, what are your values? What are your beliefs? So you want to, for me, for instance, my skincare company, I want to target people whose values are the environment, who care about being plant-based, or who care about toxin-free, paraben-free products. So, that's important for me because I know that those types of people are most likely going to be interested in my skincare product. And then behavioral is things like interests. So like if you've ever liked a page that was a specific, like a cooking and interest, a recipe page, maybe you saw, an ad somewhere that was about cooking or wine and you liked it, now you're bucketed in a specific interest target. Oh, this person likes wine and alcohol. This person likes workout and fitness kind of material. So when a company who sells fitness material, when they're out there scouring to see who fits their target, you're probably going to fall in that bucket because you've liked things like that before. So to set up my target audience for the fake company, Kim Skincare Corner, I created like a fake persona. And you don't have to do this, but I did for the purpose of the presentation because it's easier. So my target person is Skeeter, right? Skeeter is in the US because I only ship to US. I don't ship to Canada or outside. So I want to make sure that the type of person that I'm targeting is like a Skeeter, the person that is, in the US. Skeeter has to be 25 or older because I've realized, from my data, from my own website, that a lot of the people that purchase and are interested in skincare are 25 and older. Now, that's not necessarily true because in the TikTok world that we live in, like a lot of younger people and younger generations are more focused on skincare. But for the purpose of this presentation, I'll just say that my data showed on my website from GA that the age group that came mostly and bought was 25 and over. So I want to make sure that I cater to 25 and older. And then when it comes to gender, it's non-binary, gender neutral, male or female, because anybody can care about skincare. It's not specifically targeting just one audience. I think men, women, non-binary will be interested in skincare. So I, open it up to all. But I also want to fit in somebody who has the value of environmental conscience, right? A consumer that cares about the environment. So Skeeter is that type of person. They care about the environment. Skeeter's also interested in skincare products, right? Because you can care about the environment, but you're not interested in skincare. So that's important for me to understand that in order to be this, you also need to have this. And then lastly, not just any kind of skincare, Skeeter cares about looking good, looking for clean skincare products, right? Plant-based skin products. Because you can be environmentally conscious, but you probably don't care about skincare because you're just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like whatever skincare is fine with me. I care about the environment, but more about like, plastic waste, not really about like what's inside the products that I use. So this is my example of what my target audience is. So now that I've established my target audience and I know, okay, this is the type of person that I want to go out and targeting, I need to now understand how my ad is going to look like, right? Because it's catering to this type of this persona that I've created. So I'm just gonna, you guys are probably all familiar. Everybody's been on Facebook, everybody's been on Instagram. So I'm gonna dissect this Instagram ad, but essentially the top portion is the post text, right? That's what we call post text because this is where you write what you're selling. This is where you sell yourself. This is where you become the best salesperson ever. Your post copy should be witty, should be clever, should be clear, direct. It basically varies by your business, right? If you are a fun, bubbly business, then this is where you let your personality flow. This is the tone and the voice that your brand shows. Like, okay, this is how I am. If you're serious or mysterious, this is where you would, put mysterious copy or serious copy or very straight to the point. If you're all about business, then this is where you would illustrate, what you're selling, why maybe you're a consultant, a marketing consultant, a business consultant, financial consultant. So here's where you would put in like, okay, this is what I do. This is my business. Here's the information. You want to make sure you give the consumer an understanding of what your business is when they look at the post text copy. But it has to be short enough that you're not writing an essay. It's not a thesis. It's short and sweet, couple of lines explaining what your product is, what your business is, so that the consumer can then now click and find out more information if they're interested, or something that's engaging enough that will make them think, oh, wait, this makes sense. Your headline text is a great place for you to put anything that's time-based. So let's say you're doing a sale, you would put, sale ends Friday. It doesn't get lost in the post text. It's very clear. It's by itself in the bottom. In this ad example, the brand decided to say, take our 1 minute skin quiz, right? Because here they're saying, okay, it's 1 minute, that's it, it's time-based. You won't have to waste too much time. And so as a consumer, you're like, oh, okay, cool, it's a quiz. I probably skipped over post text and I just saw that it was a quiz and I saw the creative and I said, oh, okay, I'll take the skincare quiz. I want to know more. And then lastly, your CTA or acronym, which is an acronym for call to action. That's a button that's telling the consumer what steps to take next. What's going to happen when I click this button? So in this instance, the company decided to use a learn more button. And there's a bunch of pre-selected buttons that Facebook and Instagram have. You can choose not to have a button, but my preference and what I suggest is to always have a button so the consumer knows, all right, what's going to happen? Am I going to go straight to a checkout page? Am I going to go to a product description page that talks more about what this product is? Am I going to sign up for an email or a newsletter? Like, what is happening next, right? I want to make sure that I do that before I click the button. So that's your call to action for the consumer, what to do next. And then in terms of creative, this is a very clear creative. You're allowed to have copy on your ad creative when you're advertising. Back then, a couple of years ago, Facebook would only allow 20% of the space to be copy because they didn't want, ads to get too crazy and full of copy. But they've loosened that limitation now, so you can go crazy. But what I do recommend is try to keep your copy or most of your copy outside of your creative and on your post text and your headline. If you want to add copy on your creative, make it very clear, very short and to the point. Like right here, it's very clear. The secret to clear skin, bottled, right? You're kind of wondering, like, what is that? Okay, so it is still leaving like the opportunity for the consumer to like click and find out more information. But the creative in itself is nicely done, stylistically. The designs, you can use Canva to help you in this space. I'm not a designer myself, and I'm sure a lot of people are not. So if that's not your business and you're not a designer, then I would suggest that you would use Canva. Canva will help you, set up that design that you want for your ad. Okay, so moving along to campaign setup. So once you are in Facebook, and I'll show you a screenshot of what Facebook platform looks like, but once you're in here, you need to set up your campaign. And like I said, again, campaign is really just the structure of how things are going to be lined up. using your goals and your budget. So in how you organize them, the top is your campaign. Facebook's going to say, all right, what is your objective? That's why it's important to know what your goal is, because that's essentially what that space means. So if your goal is, I want to get a lot of people on my site, I want to get, that's really traffic, right? That's what we call traffic. I want to get as many people to come to my website, to come see my blog, because I'm a blogger or I'm an influencer, and I just want that. So Facebook's going to say, all right, so your goal is traffic, right? Okay, or maybe awareness. You want people to know who you are. And then from then on, Facebook's going to take the algorithm, right? And they're going to, what the algorithm really is just a line of code that kind of learns and develops as it goes, and it'll use the algorithm to learn, all right, well, this person would visit this site, so let's show the ad to that person. Wait, this person will not visit the site, let's not show the ad to that person. So that's why it's important to know your goals, because as my company, I said my goal was to make money, right? So, I mean, that's great that you're going to visit my site, but if you're not going to buy something from me, then you're kind of wasted, right? Because I need to make sure that my money goes towards my goal, which is sales, or what I call conversions, or AKA purchases. So if I set up my campaign, my goal is going to be sales and conversions, because I want people to purchase something. So when that happens, Facebook is saying, we're only going to reach out to people who are most likely going to buy your product. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes, because Facebook doesn't know how someone's going to think or function, or if they're going to like what they see. So sometimes they'll send the ad and the consumer will see it, will land on the page, but then they won't convert and they will never come back. They'll never make a sale. They'll never make a purchase. And so that's why it's important for you to set up as much information as you can, because once that starts happening, Facebook's going to start, looking at things and saying, okay, well, we keep sending people to your site, but no one's buying anything. There's something going on. So that's when you start to look at your data, analyze it, and start thinking, okay, well, I need to do something different, because people are coming, they like my ad, but they're not making purchases. Or the opposite could happen, where no one's clicking on your ad because the creative is maybe sloppy, or it's confusing, it doesn't make sense. And so Facebook will start sending ads, but you will see no clicks. No one will click on your ad creative. So that's when you start to think back, okay, maybe I need to change my ad, or maybe my audience, maybe I'm targeting, maybe it's not a skier, maybe I need to target somebody else. Maybe the skier is too specific and I need to open up and broaden my target audience. So after you set up your campaign objective, you go into the next level, which is ad set. And ad set is basically audience. It's Facebook's fancy word of calling audiences, right? Now, here's where you set up your target audiences. When you're going through the platform, the first time you go into the advertising platform called Ads Manager, it's going to basically guide you and take you step by step and tell you, okay, this is your ad sets. Now do this. So I'm basing it off the assumption that will have that guided step. Well, let's say you're going in there and you're like, okay, what's ad set? So it's basically what we talked about in a couple of slides behind. The audience, the type of person, that's going to see this. Here's where you set up your skeeter. And so the best practice for me is to use this format and this structure that I have right now illustrated, is to have one campaign. And my campaign objective is to make sales and conversions. So I am going to sell skincare products. My first ad set, the first blue box on the left-hand side, is going to be a skeeter. I'm going to target people who is 25 and up, who is all genders, who is environmentally conscious, who is in the market for skincare, who has interest in skincare. And then, because I want to test, because I want to see, maybe not just skeeter, maybe I can open it up to different target audience. So my right blue box in ad set, my second target audience is going to be a broader audience. I'm going to tell Facebook, you know what, Facebook, all I'm going to tell you to do is to go out and look for people that are 25 and up. and like skincare. That's it. And you go ahead and find anybody that you think will like my website, anybody you think will make a conversion or will make a purchase or sale. And so now I have two different audiences. And my test is the first one, Skeeter, which is all these different limitations and these restrictions, versus my broader audience, which is anybody who's 25 and up and like skincare. And now Facebook's going to go ahead and say, okay, we have two different audiences. We're going to look for two different types of, personas here, and we'll report back. We'll learn the system and we'll figure it out. Now, the audiences is where you also set up your budget, right? So this is where you say, okay, well, on my Skeeter audience, because I have more hope for that, I'm willing to invest $30 a day in spending and advertising money, because I know that is probably going to be better. But my broad audience, it's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to go on there and not make a purchase. I only want to invest $10 a day. So Facebook will separate it out. Okay, we'll only spend $10 a day. And then for the Skeeter audience, we'll spend $30 a day. But maybe you don't want to do a daily budget. Maybe you say to yourself, I don't care how much it is on a daily budget. I just want $500. And I'm going to tell Facebook, here's the $500. Split it however you want between these two audiences. And just get me the sales, get me the conversions, do the best you can. You can trust the algorithm that way. I personally have so much experience on Facebook that I feel like I can trust myself more than Facebook. But when you're starting off, it's totally fine to search, to let, Facebook do and learn the system, because it takes off a lot more load off of you. And I think the algorithm is if it's done correctly, you can have it work for you. So if you set up a budget where it's, a monthly budget, or maybe 3 months, you want to space out the $500, then Facebook will do that for you. They'll space out the $500 that you have between the both. They'll start putting more money into the audience and the ad that works better, that you start to see. That's why it's important to have the pixel, because once you have the pixel on your site, Facebook will be able to recognize, oh yeah, people are clicking on this ad. People are coming from this audience and they're buying stuff on your site. We're seeing that, people are taking action. So we're going to start putting in more money into this one because there's more success here. You can also do it very manually, and you can make the adjustments yourself, look at the data yourself, and start shifting things. But I recommend when you're first starting to let Facebook kind of do its thing and see what, comes up from it. And then lastly, your ad creative. So this is where you can do, several tests on your ad creative. So just to quickly go back here. So maybe you say to yourself, I really like this call to action that says learn more, but I would have really loved to test something that says shop now. And so you would have one creative version that has learn more button, and a second one that says shop now. And you can have as many ad variations as you want in each of your audience segments, right? So Skeeter is going to see one with a learn more, and also one with shop now. So all the Skeeters of the world will see that. But let's say you're like, no, I want to test video. I want to do a video versus a static image, which is, something like this, or carousel, which is more than one image. You can have multiple variations as you want. What I recommend is when you test, for you to be able to analyze the data correctly and cohesively, you would then need to remove as many variables as possible. So if I wanted to test this ad versus a different one, I would change one or two things. I wouldn't change it completely and make two different things, because then if more people are buying out of one ad over the other, I don't know what's working on that ad that didn't work on the other one, because it's so different. Where if it's just one or two things, I can say, oh, you know what, the video did better than the static, because it was the same copy, same call to action button, the same headline. The only difference was that one was video and one was just an image. So that will help you then now move and do more testing and say, okay, well, video works for me personally. It works better than if I were to have, a static image, and you can continue the test that way. Another thing I failed to mention is placements. So let's say you want Facebook to place your ad on desktop. And when I say Facebook, I should also clarify that they own Instagram. So the same platform where you're doing Instagram ads is the same place where you're going to be doing Facebook ads. So it's called Ads Manager, and you can do both of them at the same time or only one and not the other. So when you're in the Ads Manager platform, you can have the selection of where you want your ad to show. If you're familiar and you're on Instagram, you know that a lot of the times on the feed, if you're scrolling up and down, you'll see it there. Also on Facebook. A lot of the times you'll see it on stories too. So you're going through your friend's stories, and then right in the little intermission, you'll get an ad. So you can select if you want, Facebook or Meta to share it on all of those platforms that they offer, the Explore page, Messenger, and they will take the money that you gave them, $500 for 3 months or $20 a day, whatever, and they will decide which placement to get the money. Okay, well, $20 on feed, $15 here on stories, $5 on the Explore page, 20 cents here. And then the algorithm will basically look at the data and will say, oh, you know what? Feed isn't really doing that well. Stories is doing better. Let's put more money there. And we'll make the adjustments for you. So then, the algorithm will pretty much do the work for you. But let's say you're already seeing, Facebook's paying 20 cents to the stories, but I'm not getting any purchases or sales there. Then you can make the decision, okay, I want to tell Facebook, do not show this on stories. I only want it on feed, and I want all my money. Why spend 20 cents when I can have those 20 cents go into the feed? And you can make that adjustment yourself. And it's all within the platform, which is my next slide. So here is what Facebook Ads Manager looks like. When you sign in and you decide to make an advertising account, you'll see that it'll look like this. This is a screenshot. And essentially what this is just kind of like what the platform will look like. So in this example, this person or this company or this business has several campaigns, right? They just didn't do one. They probably did a campaign during a sale. It looks like maybe a different month, they had a different campaign. You can structure it however you feel like you want it. You can do it by product. This campaign's only going to promote this product. This one's going to do, a bunch of products. And so in this format, what you'll see is there's different columns. Each column means something different in each level. So in here, you can see that this is the campaigns level. So you'll see the blue highlighted here. And in this level, the columns are like delivery, bid strategy, budget, reach, impressions. So delivery basically means, is this active and running or paused? Is this not running? Did you pause this? Did you say to yourself, I spent $30 here and it didn't work, I'm going to do a whole new campaign? So it's just a kind of easier way for you to know. Bid strategy is kind of where you establish what type of strategy you're thinking about, right? So when you set up in your campaign level, I want sales and conversion, Facebook's going to ask you, is it lowest cost? So lowest cost basically means, listen, I'm willing to spend the lowest amount of money for the sales and the purchases that you're going to bring me. So spend however you want, but don't spend too much. And that's basically how it is. It's basically saying don't spend too much. And Facebook will kind of make sure, they come up with not too much. But let's say you don't want to be too loose and you want to say exactly, hey, for each person that comes in, I'm only going to pay $5 for that person. Okay. I'm not spending $5 more, or maybe I'm only going to spend $15 for each person that clicks on the ad and makes a purchase. I'm not spending more than that. So when it's that model, you then change it to a cost cap or bid cap, anything that has the word cap in it, because that means you're capping it. You're telling Facebook, go ahead and scour, look for, anybody who would buy this product from me or come to my business, but make sure that it's not going to cost me more than $15. Now, it's difficult, like I said, for Facebook to know what the consumer behavior is going to be like. So sometimes they'll go on the site and they will buy, and it only took Facebook $5 of your money to get that, purchase. And so you'll say, oh, wow, you got it under $15. Great. But sometimes Facebook will miss and they'll hit a person that they think is very likely to buy, but that person did not buy. And so now you're paid, you paid $10 and that person didn't convert. So you didn't make any money out of that. So it's a game of, up and down. But overall, when you have caps, you're basically telling Facebook, all right, if you keep missing your targets, you can't keep spending. So Facebook is going to say, okay, we're not going to spend. We're going to make sure we're hitting, the what you want within the amount of money that you're saying that we can spend, and how much it's going to cost for each person, right? So those caps help set up, like if you think about like in a bowling alley, the things that help you, the guards that help you so you don't miss the bowling ball from going to the gutter. That's kind of what Facebook is using when you set up caps. Like, we're going to make sure we don't go outside the lines, and we're going to, make sure. But lowest cost could be helpful too, because it doesn't limit Facebook and it lets Facebook go out and be free. Some days it'll bring in a lot, and some days it won't. But at the end, it really makes what works for you, your business, may not work for the other business. So it's about testing and seeing what works and what isn't. In this example, this business or the screenshot, they did different, right? They did cost cap and they did lowest cost, and they get different results. And so they basically, decide what they're going to move forward with and what they aren't going to move forward with. And then the rest of the columns are just kind of results and impressions. And this is terminology that Facebook uses. Impressions and reach is how many people saw the ad, how many people, actually, stayed on the ad and interacted with the ad. And then results means, and you'll see under it, there's words. So it's either purchases or leads. And leads just means like signups, like emails that they were submitted. And so each campaign had a different strategy. Maybe the purchases was a sales strategy, and the leads was a, traffic or a lead generation objective. So the results column will tell you, hey, 4 people bought from your campaign, they bought 4 things. And then, the cost per result is kind of like your CPA. CPA stands for cost per acquisition. It's how much it costs you to get that person to convert, to buy, to make the purchase. So in the first example, it cost them $118 for that, for the $118 for each person. So that is not a very successful campaign. They're paying a whole lot of money to get someone. So stuff like that is the data that you need to look at and analyze and determine, hey, I need to change things. That is not working for me. And you make adjustments as you go. All right, I'm just going to take a sip of water really quick before I jump into paid search. Okay, so for paid search, very similar story here to social. The conversion or the tracking or the pixel needs to be put on your website. If you have Google Analytics, it's actually an easier integration. There's articles here to how to add that. But same as I've said with Facebook, if you have this pixel on your site, on your website, it will help communicate your website to the platform, and that there should always be constant communication between both of them, so that you can get stuff like this, right? Like results, it says 417 in this column. If you don't have the pixel set up, it's never going to show you like how many purchases people made. You won't see it in the platform, so you won't be able to like look at the data and make analysis and make changes and optimize. So that's what's important. So you'll click on those articles afterwards. All right, so paid search is pretty simple. There are different places and avenues of search world, and you can move on to the different stages. I wanted to show this illustration of the things that you can do, and just so that you're familiar as a consumer of like what's out there. So in paid search, the first thing is when you think about, okay, I'm going to go on google.com and I'm going to search for, black jackets, black leather jackets specifically. And when you go there, you'll see that sometimes you get images at the top portion. That's called shopping. And then you'll also get like search queries, right? So like you'll get like lines of like different ads at the top, and it'll say ad for black leather jackets. That is paid search, because you're going on a search engine and you're getting a search results page. Now, let's say you were on a site. Let's say you were on Forever 21, or if you were on TomFord.com and you were looking at fragrances or colognes, and you said to yourself, oh, wow, this is great. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to add it to my cart. You know what? I'm not going to buy it. It's too much money. Now you're on Reddit or on a totally different site. You're on a blog. and you start to see these ads pop up for the Tom Ford, Fashion Nova following you. That is display ads. That's what, companies tend to do that because they know this person had intent in buying. They put it in their cart. They saw it. Let's follow them. Let's go, and chase them around. So that's display. And then YouTube is basically the ads that you get under the YouTube video or within the YouTube platform. You can advertise there. And then similar, Gmail as well, you can do advertisements there. But specifically for us, we're going to be talking about search. Okay, so quick definition of what paid search is. So paid search is a form of digital marketing where search engines use, so like Google or Bing, to allow advertisers to show their ads and on the results page. So here's an example of results page. The top portion, first three, are always going to be paid ads. So someone paid to get featured on the top three. And then the bottom portion is organic. So organic is something that you didn't have to pay for, that you got for free. So this is based on SEO, and I'll talk a little bit more about SEO right now. But this is kind of the structure of what a search engine looks like. So on the right-hand side. All right, so let's jump into SEO versus SEM. SEO is very essential for websites. I think it's very important as a business, if you have a website, to improve your SEO. It is very important, and it's a priority to make sure that you show up on a Google search or a Bing search engine, and your website shows up if someone is looking for your website or someone's looking for a product that you sell on your website. And you don't have to pay for it, it's free. And this is based on meta description, language, keywords that you use. How do you categorize your website? It's really, I always talk about structure because structure is important, but especially is important on your website. Google is one of the biggest players. They have a lot of data. They're really big in the media space. They own Gmail, they own YouTube. They have, so what shows up on your Google search page is important. And in order for you to show up there, you have to have a really great website. So SEO, by definition, is search engine optimization. It's focused on optimizing or making a better website in order to get traffic or people to land on your website for organic search results, right? And then the goal of search engine marketing, SEM, is to make sure we still want to get traffic. Like, we still want people to click on those ads and to go on our website, but we want to be able to use both tools, because I want my paid ads to be successful. But in order for them to be successful, then I need to have really great SEO. I need to make sure that my website has categories, keywords, meta description, clear copy, consistent copy, so that Google could say, you know what, this is a really great website. We're going to show your ad. So it's using both tools, making sure that SEO and SEM are efficient and they work, and they're, they make sense for your business. So it's important. And there's a couple of articles at the end for your resources that you can go and dig in a little bit more about SEO and SEM and learn a little bit about Google. So moving on to Google ad here, here's an example. So this is Pizza Hut. I grabbed this from the internet, and I just kind of want to dissect what the ad looks like. It's a little different from what I did with the social and with the Facebook and Instagram, where I showed you the ad last. It's important for me to show you this because there's different elements about the ads on Google. So this is a fully loaded ad. You probably have seen this before, but you probably only get the ones where it's only the top portion, not the portion with the box. A fully loaded ad like this is really good because it takes a lot of real estate or a lot of space on the search engine, so it pushes others down, and you get a lot of opportunity to promote your company or your business. So first line is called headlines. You're allowed to have 3. There's character limits, so there's only a certain amount of characters allowed. And here Pizza Hut kind of, went through and said, okay, well, we want to promote the brand, so of course we're going to have Pizza Hut, and then we sell pizza and wings. And then they have a second headline, which is, separated by that dash that you see, which all of them have. Get our great prices online. Then the second portion is where you see the ad creative. It'll say ad. And then the path vanity URL. So that's basically just like a general URL. So if a consumer sees this I mean, no one does this, but if a consumer sees this, they'll say, oh, let me open pizzahut.com instead of me clicking on this ad. It's just kind of like a link for consumers to see. Then the next portion is the description. So this is, again, what the post text was for Facebook. It's an area where you can talk about what you're selling, what your product is, what your business is. And then you can add like little call outs, like Pizza Hut at the end has types, cheese, pepperoni, meat lovers, veggie lovers, supreme, additional call outs. It's important. The more you have, the better. The max character limit here is 90 characters. So it's 90 characters per line. And you're allowed to have, I believe, about 4 or 5. Then the bottom portion, which is the one highlighted in the blue box, those are called site extensions. And this helps you expand, like I said, get more real estate on the landing page, on the search engine page. So here Pizza Hut said, all right, let's expand this. We're going to say you can go order online by clicking here and we'll take you straight to the order online page. Or you can click deals and coupons and we'll take you to the deals and coupons page, or the $7.99 online pizza deal that we're offering, or the locations near you, and you can search and place your order yourself through the website. So this is an opportunity for the business to give the consumer different links to your site. They all lead to your site, but just different pages on your site. So it's important because it helps you bring awareness to the different things that you're offering. Okay, so what's an ad like Kim's Corner is going to look like? This is essentially what it's going to look like. It's going to have my headlines, which, as I said, it's free. So I have Kim's Skincare Corner, clean beauty products, toxin free. My URL, kimskincarecorner.com, fake URL, and then a description. Discover clean and vegan skincare made with toxin-free ingredients. Skincare formulated with plant-based products to keep your skin refreshed and hydrated all year long. Shop now, environmental friendly. Then I have a shop now button that'll take you straight to my homepage. Why clean beauty? That will take you to my mission statement, how to save the environment. Exclusive deals that will take you to my deals homepage. As a first-time customer, I'm offering you a discount code, but it's limited at time. And then my top rated products, right? Like explore my collection. Different places, same website. This helps the consumer like see the different areas. This is also helpful because there's a lot of words. So now when someone Googles clean beauty instead of clean products, they'll get my ad because my ad has the word clean beauty. And sometimes, I'll have toxin-free ingredients. So someone who searches toxin-free ingredients may get my ads, or skin formulated, or discover clean and vegan skincare. And what these are called are keywords. So they're search words that are used when someone puts them in the search engine, but Google calls them keywords because they're words that are used so that an ad gets served up. And that moves me to the second point, the auction. So this is a little complex, and I'm going to try and illustrate it with this little drawing to kind of explain to you. So bear with me. It might get a little crazy and it might get a little confusing before it starts to make sense, but the illustration will be hopefully helpful. All right, an auction. If you think about it, if you've ever been to an auction, if you've been in the movies, if you've seen a movie and it has an auction, you hear, somebody saying like, okay, $2, I take $2, $3, $3, who's going to do 4, who's going to do 5, and it kind of works that system. So if you think about a little auctioneer in your head, that's kind of what Google is doing, but lightning fast and behind the scenes, and it's all like with code, right? So Google determines what ad is going to show up on the keyword if based on like the bets that people are taking and other factors. So, in here, the advertisers, Bob, Jane, Sue, and Tom, they're all like putting bets on the table or bids, right? And they're saying, okay, I'm going to pay $4 for that word. I'm going to pay $3, I'm going to pay $2, I'm going to pay $1. So Google is doing a lightning fast auction every time someone searches a keyword. It's all code. And every time someone searches on Google and, they use a keyword that, Joe Schmo, Bob, Jane, Sue, and Tom all put a bid on or bet, it's going to decide who's going to win, who's going to get, whose company is going to be the top ad, who's the second, and who's the third. So in order for Google to determine who's the winner, there's different factors in the auction, right? It's not just how much money you're putting up, because maybe you don't put that much money, or maybe you do, but there's other things that may take you out of the ranking, and other things that may actually help you, even though you don't bet that much or bid. So how does the auction work? All right, so a bid is the max amount that you're willing to pay for a click on your ad. So there's a word called yummy cookies or best cookies, and I sell cookies, and I am willing to put, $2. $2 is how much I will be willing to pay for somebody to click on that. So if somebody clicks on that, I'm willing to say I will pay $2 for that click, because I know that my cookies are yummy and someone's going to buy them when they click on my website because they're going to like it. So Google says, all right, you're willing to pay $2. But after looking at all these factors, sometimes they say, you know what, you were willing to pay 2, he was willing to pay 4, they were willing to pay 3, but you won. And the person that was willing to pay 4 didn't even make it in the auction. They didn't even win because there's only 3 spots. So you're only going to pay $2.75 because, I'm sorry, you're only going to pay $1.75. So you didn't pay the full $2. So sometimes you end up winning and you get better deals, but you'll never go over. You'll go under, but you'll never go over. So you can set up bids understanding that, okay, that might be where I'm going to end up. Now, the quality score is the next thing that Google looks at, okay? Not only how much you're putting on the table, but how good of the product is that you're making, right? Like I said, I sell yummy cookies, but do I really sell cookies? So Google wants to make sure that you're not saying you do something when you really don't. So if I say, yeah, I want to bet on the word yummy cookies, let's say I want to bet on the word Beyonce. Now, that's a hard one because it's trademark, but if I don't have anything on my business or my website that has Beyonce content, Google's going to be like, like you don't sell Beyonce stuff. You're not relevant. This doesn't make sense with the consumer, and they always put the consumer first. So they're going to say, no, we're not going to show your ad because you don't sell Beyonce stuff, and you're willing to pay $100 for this keyword, but it doesn't make sense for the consumer, and they're going to get a bad reaction when they go to your website. And how many of us have ever been Googling something, saw an ad, clicked on it, and then we're like, this doesn't make sense, and you leave. And you get mad and you're like, what? My search results are not showing what I want. So Google doesn't want that. They want to make sure that the consumer is happy with the results that they're getting, and that they get to the page that they want to visit. So it's quality score is a score or grading system that Google gives a business based on their ad, right? So if my ad creative is yummy cookies, and I talk about selling yummy cookies, Google's going to say that's really relevant to the keyword. The Google word is yummy cookies, and in your ad copy, you have, I sell home baked yummy cookies, or I sell cookies that, will satisfy anybody's sweet tooth. So Google will say, all right, that makes sense. You do sell cookies. We've seen from data that people have clicked on your ads after searching for any type of relation of the word cookie, and you have, and they have made purchases, right? The pixel worked, it fires and it sends a message that people are buying cookies from your website. So then Google will scale you from 1 to 10, 10 being the best score. 10 means you are so relevant to that keyword. So if I use the keyword Kim's skincare, I forgot my product name, Kim's clean skincare, Google's going to say yeah, that makes sense because that's your company, right? That's what you sell. So we're going to give you a 10 because you're the most relevant. That's literally the name you've trademarked. But let's say I'm doing Kim's skincare and I want to bet on the word cookies because I know a lot of people are going to be looking for cookies. So I'm going to get a lot of people searches. Google's going to say, 1, you don't sell cookies, you sell skincare. So I'm going to, try to bid $30, and Google will say no. So they'll give me a 1 score. And, that's really bad because then that means I can't bid on that keyword. The third thing that Google looks at, and the last thing, is the ad format. So remember how I talked about this having site extensions, description copy, using all lines, being very descriptive, having words, directing people, being as like informative as you can. Google looks to see it, how much you're doing. Are you using site extensions? Are you, using relevant keywords in your copy? Are you calling out cookies because you sell cookies? Are you calling out skincare and you're bidding on the word skincare? Like it looks at like all the different types of things that you're doing. And overall, based on the bid, the quality score, and the ad format, it grades you one grade. It gives you a point. So it can be from 1, which is the lowest, to like 90 or 100. And the higher the score, the likely you are to win the auction. So I know that's a lot to digest. It was a lot for me to explain right now. But if we look at this illustration right here, Bob is willing to put $4 on the table for the keyword. Let's say the cookies, yummy cookies. The word is yummy cookies. Tom is only willing to pay $1, and Sue $2, and Jane $3, right? Bob has, clearly very confident, $4. But when it comes to quality score, Bob doesn't sell cookies, probably. He is probably just betting on that because he just wants more people to come to his site. So Google gave him a low quality score, maybe 1 to 3. Jane, however, she got a really great quality score. Her landing page is great. The data shows that people have bought cookies here. And this makes sense. And so is Sue. And Tom, perhaps, sells cookies, but maybe not the kind of cookies that the consumer was looking for. So maybe, Tom sells pictures of cookies. And so it could get confusing, right? Because people might think, oh, it's cookies. No, it's just pictures of cookies. So he got a medium score because it's still cookies, right? And then format impact is now like what I talked about, which was the third one. Who used site extensions, who had, the best words or directed people or consumers to, to different landing pages. So here, Sue had the highest score here because she, she most likely had site extensions, call outs, used all her headlines and all of her post description. And Tom probably did so as well. However, Jane and Bob did not. So at the end, and I'm talking about really fast, 5-second, 10-second actions, Google gave scores, and the winner for the first spot was Sue with 20 points in the ad rank, then followed by Jane with 15, and then followed by Tom. And then because there's only 3 spots, Bob, who was willing to pay $4, did not win. So Bob unfortunately didn't make it, and his ad is not going to show. So Bob needs to go back, work on his quality score because it was really low, and his format impact. And he needs to go and adjust, whatever he's bidding on because it's not working. So this is how the system works. Obviously, you won't see this in action, but in the Google platform, you'll be able to see what your quality score is, what your ad rank is, so that you better understand what keywords work for you and what keywords don't work for you. And sometimes if your quality score is too low, then you can make changes on your website. Maybe your score was too low, but then you go on your website and you're like, you know what, I need to call out that I really make cookies because I'm not really calling out that I make cookies, and I do make cookies, and I need to do a better job at this. And so that will help you make optimizations or changes on your website. Okay. So moving on to the next. So as I talked about keywords and understanding what keywords are, there are 3 different types of keywords that Google categorizes. One is called broad match. And in this kind of keyword type, it's going to show ads that are relevant, that relate to the keyword. So in the example here, the keyword or the word that people are searching is lawn mowing services, right? So when lawn mowing services come up, if I have a lawn mowing service business, my ad is going to come up. And when people search lawn aeration prices, because it is a correlation to lawn mowing, my ad might show up. because it's broad, and I've set up that I want Google to, when a broad keyword like this, shows up, show my ad, because it has something to do with it. Now, phrase matching, it's ads that have relevancy or that include the meaning of your keyword. So lawn mowing services near me, hire company to mow lawn. When you put that, Google understands that you're really looking for lawn mowing services. So that's why it's correlate. That's why when you search that, even though you bid on the word lawn mowing services, your ad will still come up, because it's sort of the same. It's the same meaning. That's what you're trying to get out. You're trying to get out lawn mowing service. So Google, Google gives you the opportunity that it doesn't have to be exactly that match. It broadens up a little bit, right? And then exact is if somebody exactly searches the same meaning. So if someone searches lawn mowing services or grass cutting service, they're both basically the same thing. So Google basically says, all right, if you only want people to see your ad, if they search exactly this word, then only tell me to look for exact match keywords. But if you want to broaden up a little bit, do phrase match. This will give you more people, and the intent is still there because it's, still including the meaning of your keyword. Broad, however, will bring in a lot of people, right? It may not mean the same thing. It kind of will relate, but you'll get people who are searching for something that, like in the cookies example, could be something like cookie cutting, cookie boxes, and not really cookies to eat, right? So broad helps you reach more people, but not always the right people. While exact helps you reach the exact people, but it limits you from the people who are not searching exactly those words. So I always launch my campaigns with exact and phrase, because those are the best for me specifically. However, I've worked for some companies where I've done broad, because sometimes broad helps them bring awareness, and it may not be the same exact thing, but somebody will say, oh, wait, no, yeah, this makes sense. Okay, I can click on this ad, and it'll bring more people. So it's helpful because it'll bring that impressions or traffic to your site. So how do we do that with Kim skincare products? So if I was betting on the word clean skincare products, because that's what I sell and I want people to see my ad, I would say, okay, if it was an exact match, if I was betting on keywords that had to be exactly, when somebody searched clean skincare products, they'll get my ad. When someone searches environmental friendly skincare, they'll get my ad, because that means clean skincare. And if somebody searches clean skincare, just the way it is, they're going to get my ad. Now, if I did phrase matching, if somebody searched plant-based clean products, which essentially is clean skincare products, they're going to get my ads. Cheap skincare products. I didn't really say anything about cheap, but maybe they'll still get my ad. Clean environmental products. Okay, I didn't say anything about the environment, but we know that clean skincare means clean for the environment. Now, if I broaden it up, if someone searches in general skincare, they're going to get my ad. And sometimes that might not work for me, because my target audience, Skeeter, they focus on clean skincare. They don't just want any kind of skincare. So I may get the audience and I may get people to see it and be like, oh, okay, clean skincare. Yeah, why should I do this? So, it'll be helpful, but I also may get people who don't really care about clean skincare. Then clean products. Maybe somebody's searching for cleaning products. And then because it's so broad, they're going to get my ad, which has nothing to do with cleaning skincare products, with clean products. But my ad has the word clean skincare. And sometimes Google misses, they're not perfect. Sometimes there's no correlation, but they'll still serve up the ad. And so it won't make sense for me, or it just, for the consumer, this is not what they were searching for. And then lastly, we might get a hit, whereas clean skincare, it's very general. It's not just about products. Someone's looking for just clean skincare in general, and they'll get my ads. So this is keywords. These are the different match types. You can, work off like what works for your business, what works for your company. You can also set up negative keywords. So let's say I keep getting people who are searching cheap skincare products, but my skincare products are not cheap, I would create a negative keyword called cheap, because I don't want people to be disappointed. They're very expensive. It's a very luxurious brand. So a negative keyword is telling Google, hey, when someone searches for this, do not show my ad, right? It's the opposite of show my ad. It's basically saying, under no circumstances, if the word contains cheap, do not show my ad, because I do not want to be correlated with cheap. I don't sell cheap products. But maybe I do. Maybe I sell inexpensive products, and it's not as, it's luxurious, but still affordable. So maybe I'll say, you know what? I will add the word cheap as a keyword, because I feel like that might help bring in more people, because it is cheap, it's inexpensive, it's affordable. So it's all based on you. Your keywords, you select, you create them from the start, you create them as you go. And that brings me to the next point of how to create keywords. So keywords, let me see if I can move this. Keywords are set up on the campaign level. It's very easy on Google. They guide you step-by-step process. So once you start on your campaign, you are going to tell Google what your product is, and you're going to have a little search box here that'll say, okay, well, let's start doing keywords and ads. And then it'll say, okay, well, what do you sell? And I'm going to say skincare products, plant-based. And Google will say, okay, here, look, we have all these keywords that we think make sense for you to bid on, because they correlate or relate to your product or to your brand. And so you can go through the list and say, yep, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Or no, that doesn't make sense. So Google will come up with all these keywords. And then on the next phase, it'll tell you how much the bids are currently for those keywords. So, because there's so much data out there, when you have plant-based keyword, Google will say, hey, the max bid right now for people to appear as like the first spot is $2. So if you want to win that spot, you got to bet more than $2 for that keyword. And you can make the decision whether you want to bet on it or not, or bid on it. Like maybe you say, I'm only willing to pay $1 for a click. I don't want to pay $2. And that might lessen your chance to be first, but maybe you'll be the third spot. And sometimes you might not even show up on the first page, and Google will say, hey, look, in order for you to show up on the first page, we recommend that you up your bid. You need to pay a little bit more. And then you just kind of see, is that word helping you bring in purchases? Yes, then maybe it is valuable for you to increase your bids. Another tool that is helpful is called Keyword Planner Google tool. So once you have an account, once you have that set up, you can click on that link here, and then it will take you through to the tool to set up those keywords. And similar to what I just said here, it will tell you what to bid on, what keywords, and then any suggestions or recommendations. When your campaign is running and you've had data, then and this is a platform, and this is what it looks like. It's AdWords. That's what it's called. On the left-hand side, you'll click on where it says keywords. And then on the right-hand side, you'll click on where it says search terms. So search terms are basically things that you are not bidding on. They're random words. Well, not random, but they're words that people searched, and then Google felt that your ad made sense. Okay, so Google will say, hey, someone searched this and we showed your ad because, we thought that it related to the search word. So you may not have bidded on it, but Google still served your ad. And so when that happens, sometimes you say to yourself, okay, you know what? I'm going to add that as a keyword, because that I see that a lot of people are, searching for that. They're using that search term, and my ad is showing up, and they're buying, they're clicking, and they're buying. And you'll see on the columns here, clicks and impressions. So impressions is like how many people saw the ad from using that search term, and clicks is how many people clicked on the ad. And so and the click-through rate is out of the people that saw it, what's the percentage of those people that clicked, right? High click-through rate means that, we saw it and we're clicking on it. Low click-through rates, we saw it, we're not really clicking on it. So when you see that, you can instantly click on the checkbox and add it as a keyword for your campaign. Or maybe you saw an ad, a keyword or search term that does not make sense with your company, and you're getting really low click-through rates, and you want Google to stop showing your ad to this because it doesn't make sense. You can make it a negative keyword, and you can say, hey, don't show this again. Okay, I'm done. All right. I know this is long. Thank you for bearing with me. We are almost there. I will get to your questions. I see them coming. So Google Trends. All right. Google Trends is another really cool tool that helps you with keywords. It analyzes the keyword search queries around the world. So if you're interested and you're like, oh, you know what? I wonder if people are looking for plant-based cookies and like how many people are searching for it. The really great part about that is that if you use Google Trends, it'll tell you like the different parts of the world that are searching for that word, what times of years, like what time of the year people are searching most volume for. So in this example, I put clean skincare. I just wanted to see like, okay, is there like a month where people search for more skincare products than other months? Because if so, then that means I'm gonna put in more money in that time because I know that people are definitely going in with the intent and I want to make sure I'm number one spot. So it's really helpful. It's a tool, it's free, and you can do it now. Honestly, you don't even need to have a business. You could be curious to find a little bit more information. All right, campaign setup. So how is similar to Facebook and social, how your campaign is set up is very important. In the campaign level, this is where you say who you want to target, what your ads are going to spend, how much money you're willing to commit, and then you go through the steps in the Google platform and AdWords to develop your audiences. So what was called audiences in Facebook, in Google is called ad groups. And this is where you decide who's relevant, what type of interest, who is going to see your product, what type of keywords are going to be here. So you build your audience by the type of keywords that you create. So I want to create clean product keywords, environment friendly keywords for people like Skeeter. Then I would create an, ad group 1. And then my ad group 2 would be, focusing more on general stuff like environmental friendly stuff, plastic free stuff. And so then those are the keywords. You basically base your audience on your keywords, the type of keywords that are going to be in each area. And then in there, you make ads targeted specifically to people who are looking for those things. You can test this. You can say, I want to use the same ad across all my different audiences, all these different keywords, but they're always going to get the same ad creative. And that could work for you. It varies. You can change it. My suggestion is always to cater your ad to the audience, right? So if I am going for a Skeeter, I'm going to call out clean product, environmental friendly, a lot of all those things in my ad copy. But if I'm broadening it up, I don't really need to call out clean and environmental friendly and like why you should do environmental friendly clean products, because I just want you to come look at my website. I just want you to come see and learn for yourself why this is better. I don't want you to feel like you're excluded because you don't care about the environment. So maybe I want to do a different set of ad creative. And in that instance, the copy is a little different and it's more general, it's more broad. And then as you're going through the flow, Google will tell you how many characters you should do, what's good suggestions. What I love about the Google ad platforms is that it suggests the copy for you from your website. It literally will, you put in your vanity URL or the link to your website and Google will say, we think you should use these keywords. We think you should use this headline. We think you should use this ad copy. And it does the work for you. I mean, you could always use tools that I'll, have available for free resources at the end. But Google basically will do the work for you, which is really helpful when it comes to copy stuff. So I'm not a copywriter as well. And then just here's a quick screenshot of what the dashboard looks like. So you can have like a look and feel of how it would look like. I know it looks complicated. It looks like a lot of numbers, but trust me, Google is a really intuitive platform that walks you through each of the steps. There's recommendations tab, which I wanted to call out here because Google always tells you, hey, we think that you'll get more people to purchase if you do this, if you do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's good to listen to them because they do have, the algorithm is really great and they make really great suggestions. And then sometimes it doesn't make sense, or like, for your company, you're like, no, I don't want to make this change. Like they'll say like, increase your bids. And you're like, you know what, I'm spending enough money. I don't want to bid more. But it is a really great tool and it's the recommendations tab. So you can find it right here. And it's also right here to give you advice of like how to make changes. Now there's a lot more steps in Google and becoming an expert in Google ads. And there's resources at the end of the presentation to walk you through really how you can be better at it, be more of a marketer, more of a, an SEM or a search expert. And they'll walk you through all the steps, which is really helpful. A lot of them are free. Also YouTube, you can YouTube a lot of this stuff. There's really great suggestions out there. And then lastly, I wanted to explain again what shopping was versus paid search versus organic. So if I Google the word trench coat, you'll get shopping ads, which is those little images that have a line of images called sponsored. This is a whole different setup. It's so much easier than paid media. Than paid search. I didn't talk about it in this presentation because it would be extremely long to go through all different placements. But Google Shopping ads is really helpful for anything that's tangible. So if you sell a product, like a book, clothes, or if you sell, things that somebody can actually get shipped and delivered, this is a really helpful way to illustrate what you're selling and also like show the pricing, all the information that you need to. It's really easy to set up. You don't have to go through the whole process of like keywords. You actually don't even set up keywords at all. Google kind of says, tell me what your product is, give me a description, and we'll come up with keywords and we'll show the ads to whoever we feel this is relevant to. So it's really easy. It's not too expensive, but it does need to be a tangible product. And then the paid search section, which is, the Lululemon creative right there that we have in the blue. That's what a paid search ad looks like without site extensions. And then finally, all the way at the bottom is organic search results. That's why advertisers get the top spots and organic gets pushed down, and gives more opportunity for people to advertise. And of course, is an incentive for advertisers because they want to be at the top. They don't want to be at the bottom of the page. And then I'm just quickly going to share, there's resources for Facebook, Instagram. You can click on them. They're really great tools. They're all links, Google free resources. If you are interested in set up Google Shopping ads, I've also included that there. And then if you are interested in copy inspo, I said I'm not a copywriter, really am not. There's these really good tools that you can use, actually things that other companies have used in terms of copying, in terms of like setup and structure that you could find useful as you're going through your journey of paid media. Career tools, if you're ever interested in getting a career in becoming a digital marketer, or if you want to elevate your business and become an expert in that, that it's a really great way to get a course, and it's free and you can learn more about what you're doing, especially if you don't want to hire outside sources and you want to save a couple of bucks on that. And then for your business in general, like I said, Canva is really good, and then the rest of the other links. And then finally, paid sources. So this is all things that you'd have to pay for. There's certifications and stuff, but if it's worth it for your business, it's worth the investment. But it's all up to you. I have it there for everybody, so for you to take a look. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now that the presentation is done and open up the floor. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm so sorry. I took so long. I talked so much.
No, Kim, thank you so much. This was definitely a very informative discussion. You gave a great presentation, so thank you. I know it took some time, but I think you hit upon a lot of topics. So just thank you. This was a great presentation. I know I learned a lot. So maybe we'll just take 15, 20 minutes for Q&A. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible. So I will take it from the top. Let's just get into this chat. Give me a moment. Okay, so Mara Alzandi, I hope I'm saying your name properly. Is Mara Alzandi still here? I think that person left. Let me maybe just jump down to someone who's maybe still here. 1 second, my computer.
Do you think maybe they might? I mean, maybe they didn't ask the question, but could be a useful answer for someone.
Yeah, that's true. Let me get to it. How would you advertise a service to social media? And then they said, for how long would you wait until you change your strategy if it's not bringing traffic to your website?
Great questions, actually. So advertising a service like consultation, and it's not something that's a product or tangible. I think it's you follow the same strategy that I showed, you would, have creative that shows what you're offering. So if it's like a service like a consultation, then you would, say you would have creative that kind of highlights that. There's a lot of, like, you can use like therapy services. They do a lot of really great ads, like those companies that do online therapy. I've seen those ads on all of my social media. They have creative that illustrates a service, and you can click on the ad and then get people to like learn more. So still follow the same structure, just make sure the creative highlights that it's a service and not something tangible. And then in terms of like how long you should wait for your strategy, if it's not bringing traffic to your website, it really is dependent on your goals. If you're seeing that, so let me backtrack a little bit. The Facebook algorithm takes 7 days to learn. And within those 7 days, it's adjusting. So I wouldn't make any changes in less than 7 days. After 7 days, it then starts, doing what it needs to do and making changes on its own. If you start to see that 2 weeks go by and your performance is dropping and it's not bringing any traffic to your website, I would make that change because it already took a week to learn. However, every time you make a change, the algorithm starts again, the 7-day processing. So just be conscious that, like, if you make a change, that's 7 more days now that you have to give the system to learn. But traffic is one of the easiest things to get to your website. So if it's not working, you need to really look at what you're doing in your strategy that's causing that.
Excellent. Thank you for the response. The next question is Sam. Sam asked, which impressions or clicks for better results and cost? And then how do you lower cost per click? Is that clear, that question for you?
It's not, but if Sam's not here, I can still kind of.
Sam is here. Sam, is this your question, Sam, or is this a different Sam? If you want to unmute yourself, you can, Sam.
Well, that's a different Sam.
This is my new life.
Okay, all right, no problem. It's a different Sam. Maybe we could just answer the second part of it, like, how to lower your cost per click. I think that's a clear question.
Yeah. So one of the things on social media, I'm guessing because this is early on in the presentation, it was for social.
Mm-hmm.
The cost per clip is click. I can't even speak. It's really dependent on audiences. So if you have an audience and they're getting a lot of clicks, but there isn't any action happening or not enough clicks, and everybody, or specifically people are seeing the ad and they're not clicking on it, your CPCs or your cost per click is going to get really high. And Facebook's going to say, like, listen, we're showing this to everybody and they're not doing anything. Or if you are targeting very specific audiences, Facebook knows, like, hey, you got really specific, we're going to start charging you more. So in those two different instances, in the first one, you'll have to look at your creative. You want to get a better click-through rate. So you want to make sure that people who are seeing it are clicking. So you improve your creative, your copy, your headline. And the second instance, it could be the audience play, because it's so specific that it's costing you more. So you can broaden up a little bit and don't segment too much, because that could cost a little bit more, because now Facebook's saying, well, we have to like narrow down who to reach out to, so it's going to cost you more. CPCs are determined by Facebook, so it's all a game of like trying to figure out, what changes you can make on the audience or the creative to improve it.
Excellent. The next question we have, let me see, actually, we're just really seeing a lot of comments. People asking about the presentation. I just want to say, a few people asked, the presentation and recording of the video will be sent to everybody. Sarush, is Sarush still in the room? Sarush had a question. You had 2 questions regarding SEO, Sarush, if you want to ask it out loud.
Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for that. Kim, that was really, really impressive. Just the 2 things, just for like, I guess, the overall context, right? We know specifically on Google, every few weeks, months, they change the algorithms, right? So what advice would you have for small businesses that, don't have the resources to deploy a technology-based solution, but a a achievable solution, whether it's producing more content or what would you advise people to kind of do to keep up with the ever-changing Google algorithm to get priority listings? And kind of tied into that is the second point, which is content still king and queen? I mean, you know, for some time, organic content really allowed you to win on Google, but is that still true? And where do you see that strategy playing out? So those are the two questions, Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Serge, for asking great questions. Yeah, I agree. It's very difficult and it gets really expensive and very time consuming to make changes into your creative. I mean, like one of the things that Google, you know, we have Google reps in my company and they always encourage us to make, you know, changes in the ad copy. We like to be more evergreen, whereas like, okay, we don't have the time to make the changes in terms of the how our campaigns look and the structure and keywords. But I would say that, you know, a lot of the times it's looking at the data and seeing what the data is telling you. If you're seeing that you're failing or something's dropping in performance, I would look always at keywords. They're easier to maintain than to change copy. Changing copy could be a little bit more difficult, and Google is changing like guidelines on copy now in their ad creative. They're making things more dynamic. So like basically they structure how the headlines are going to look, in what order they show up to make it easy for businesses. So that's something that's happening in June. So if you don't have the time or the resources to really invest into making changes, you know, more frequently, I would say start with your keywords because those are the easiest to adjust and to change. And that kind of goes to your second question about like, you know, content being king and queen. Content is very important on your ad creative. You want to make sure that it's relevant. But what I feel like is important is the structure, like the base, and that's your website. You're making sure that your website is clear and concise and it's relevant and it has all the, you know, the changes that need to be made. Like as we've evolved in the world of like internet and digital marketing, a lot of focus has been on like making sure you have meta descriptions on your website, making sure that you have image tags or that you have, you know, captions and stuff like that. That helps out in the end for your Google ads. So we can't focus on, you know, making the changes in the AdWords in the Google platform. I would say keywords and then focus on your website.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that response, Kim. And thank you, Bruce, for the questions. So I think those are all the questions. Maybe if anyone else has any last questions, we maybe have time for one or two more questions and then we'll wrap up. Oh, okay. No more questions. Well, once again, thank you, Kim, for you know, an excellent presentation tonight. I think we all learned a lot here. You know, hope to have you back and maybe doing more presentations with us. And yeah, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And we'll maybe be following up with you guys within a day or two with you know, a YouTube recording of the of today's video as well as the presentation. And Kim, is it okay if we like share your email or your LinkedIn for people to follow up with you if they'd like to?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead. I'm open to questions too. If no one comes up with them right now, follow me on, friend me on LinkedIn, and Jeff will share my email. I'll also share the presentation too for everybody, so that you can look and use this as a resource. But I'm definitely here to help. I really, you know, I want to support businesses, and paid media is definitely a scary place to grow and start. So I'm here to offer any resources I can to be helpful in that area.
Yes, thank you so much, Kim. You're truly a gem. So yes, thank you all. Have a great night, and we'll be following up with you all soon via email.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yep.